I love your skirt. Where did you get it?
It was my mom's in the 80s.
Vintage. So adorable.
Thanks.
That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
For his new book, writer Bruce Handy draws on interviews with stars and directors of iconic teen movies from over the decades. Rebel Without a Cause and Lindsay Lohan with Mean Girls. He examines the defining stars and the films of different generations and places them in historical and cultural context. The book is called Hollywood High, a totally epic, way opinionated history of teen movies. Bruce, welcome. Nice to have you with us. Good morning.
Hi, thanks. I'm so glad to be here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so how do you define these teen movies? I was just making a list, and it's enormous of, films that can be placed in that category, some more iconic than others.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think it was really, I kind of talk about it being, it's a very subjective thing ultimately. But for me, it's movies that are in some ways kind of about the state of being a teenager and have something to say about, teenagers in whatever era they're made, whether it's the 50s like Rebel Without a Cause or, the 2000s like Mean Girls. Certainly there are a lot of movies that teens love that I don't really think of as teen movies, like, Elvis movies, or even more recently the Taylor Swift concert movie. But yeah, to me, it's a kind of a hardcore canon that's really talking about the state of being a teenager.
And have they gotten more authentic over the years than from what I would imagine would be pretty sanitized in the 40s and 50s?
Yeah, well, I think that's true. Although in some ways the 40s and 50s movies, like especially Rebel Without a Cause and also Blackboard Jungle, which came out the same year. I mean, yeah, they're kind of sanitized about sex, but they're pretty real about issues of violence and psychological issues and kind of the troubles that teenagers face. But yeah, I think they kind of They kind of reach a certain apex, I think, with the John Hughes movies, because he's, who I assume, you Chicago people are particular fans. But, he's the first filmmaker who really speaks, I think, directly to teenagers. I mean, he really speaks in their voice and really tries to get under their skin in a way that other filmmakers, even as great as, some of these movies are, like American Graffiti or Fast Times at Ridgemont High, don't quite do. Hughes is kind of unique that way, or certainly the first person to do it, I think.
I saw you briefly mentioned Mean Girls from the 2000s. I'm trying to think, what's the latest teen movies since the 2000s? Mean Girls was so iconic. You mentioned the Hunger Games movie. I guess the teenagers like that, but is it really a teen movie?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm like stretching my definition. I do write about the Hunger Games and also Twilight, and I
did like Twilight.
Stretching my definition a little bit, but I do think those movies, especially Hunger Games, I think speaks to a lot of the the anxieties that kids have now, and their fears about about the future, about I mean, obviously school shootings are something that's in there at least subliminally, if not explicitly. But yeah, I think it's interesting because, some of the best teen movies, I think most recently, like for me, Booksmart, which came out, I think, right before the pandemic, and Dee Dee, which came out last year, are really wonderful movies, but they haven't quite had the same impact of some of these earlier teen movies. In some ways, I think, the teen genre is in some ways maybe thriving more on television, with shows like Euphoria or Wednesday. Reservation Dogs, which I thought was a terrific show that should have been seen more. But yeah, that's a different book, I guess.
Yeah, does Ferris Bueller fall into that category as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for me, Ferris Bueller is my favorite of all the John Hughes movies. I think it's, I mean, obviously it's, it's funny, but I think, I mean, that's a good example of what I was talking about with Hughes really speaking to kids, because he really, a lot of that movie, it's set right before graduation, and it's really, it's really talking about, the kids' fears about what the future is going to bring and what it's going to mean for their, their friendships and stuff. I mean, in some ways, I think I mentioned this in the book. I mean, it's almost like there's echoes, to me at least, of movies about, where soldiers or sailors are about to, ship out for the war or something. There's that kind of undercurrent of anxiety that, he really taps into, despite, the movie's very funny and fast paced, and there's a million great lines and scenes we remember. But there's this undercurrent of anxiety that I think really speaks to teenagers, and I think elevates that movie beyond just a kind of a funny, romp like American Pie, which I think is also a fun, great movie,
Right.
but I think it doesn't have quite that.
Well,
the
it's-
meat of Ferris
It's a
Bueller.
great trip down memory lane. The book is Hollywood High, a totally epic way opinionated history of teen movies. You can follow Bruce on Instagram. Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Sure.